What's happening? What's good, fellas? Welcome back to another one. Today I want to talk a little bit about Square Enix in 2026. Considering that we are just over a week away from the new year, I thought it would be the perfect time to talk about what Square might potentially have up their sleeves for next year, but also talk about their current release schedule. Because right now, it's looking a little bit dry, it's looking a little bit empty, and there's not really too much to look forward to with Square currently confirmed for 2026. And it's interesting because we've kind of found ourselves in a very similar position that we found ourselves in at the end of 2024. You'll remember back to last year, we were talking about how Square Enix didn't really make great use of all of the Q4 or Q3 events in 2024 to sort of chisel out their schedule and pipeline for 2025. Didn't have really a big presence at the Game Awards in 2024. It wasn't until we got into this year that different state of plays or Nintendo Directs started to pop up and Square Enix finally announced games for 2025. It was by about June where it was like, okay, yeah, it looks like Square Enix are releasing games this year. But Square Enix's 2025 marketing strategy, I believe, is actually indicative to times changing, where they don't want a great amount of time between reveal to release. And we've seen a lot of that happening throughout this year. Now, only having a few months between reveal to release, I believe, is only really ever going to apply to Square Enix's smaller projects. I still think that Square will want to market their big AAA massive releases, e.g. a big Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts 4, but looking at about a year to a year and a half marketing duration for games like that. But still, I think that over the past few years, we've seen a huge shift in the way that Square Enix approach their marketing for their games. With hopefully Kingdom Hearts 4's reveal being the very final one in terms of revealing something way too early before they're even ready to start showing off more of that said game. However, if we look at the current 2026 lineup, like I was saying, it's a little bit dry. There are currently 5 games slated for 2026, with only really 2 of them being proper video games. This would, of course, be The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales. Personally, I'm really excited for this one. It currently doesn't have a release date, but I'd have to imagine this would probably be a mid-year release. And then we have Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, which again got revealed not too long ago. I believe State of Play in November. It's releasing in February, the 7 remake. Otherwise, we've got Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is simply just a port. It's coming to Switch and Xbox in January. The only other 2 games here are both Dragon Quest Smash Grow and Dissidia, which of course are mobile games. So yeah, the current 2026 lineup for Square Enix is yeah. It was surprising to see that Square didn't have a presence at the Game Awards at all. Absolutely nothing. I was definitely expecting them to use that as a place to reveal at least 2 things that people could look forward to in 2026. But as we know, big things are happening at Square Enix, and by 2026 they'll be just over halfway through their 3-year reboot phase. The company did officially announce this year that people shouldn't really start to expect big major AAA releases from Square Enix until about 2027, 2028. Not to say that games still won't be releasing, as we've seen plenty of titles release this year, and no doubt it will also be the same in 2026 as well, but these will be smaller releases. And so I would say that at this point, the release schedule for 2026 will be very similar to 2025, where Square Enix's 2026 games will be announced a few months before release, likely during showcases like a State of Play that randomly pops up or a Nintendo Direct. I think as far as releases are concerned for the company, it will once again be a bit of a quiet year. I think that 2025 has been a good year for at least looking at Final Fantasy fans, those who are fans of Tactics. That was really cool to see. Earlier this month, we also had Octopath Traveler release, so I think 2026's releases will be along the lines of games like those. However, I do think that 2026 will be a good year for Square Enix in regards to announcements, what the company have been working on for the past few years, and what people can look forward to, as 2027 will mark the end of their reboot phase. It was recently mentioned that both Tetsuya Nomura and Hamaguchi will have the official title for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 decided by the end of this year. Nomura, Hamaguchi, Kitase have all pretty much indicated throughout this year that it shouldn't be too long before we actually learn more about Part 3, so I'm pretty confident that we will at least get a teaser for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 next year. I'm also very confident that we will finally see more and learn more about Kingdom Hearts 4. Come April of next year, it'll be 4 years. 4 years since the reveal of Kingdom Hearts 4. And I really hope that Square Enix aren't gonna let us get to over 4 years of waiting before seeing more of the game. I'd really like to think that somewhere around March, we might end up seeing more of the game. But Kingdom Hearts 4 has been in development for a very long time now. It has been sitting on this release schedule of Square Enix's with a TBA release date with no other extra information for the game itself, so I really do think it's time. I think that 2026 is going to be a pretty good year in terms of Kingdom Hearts. Ideally, it's also time for Dragon Quest XII to get some kind of update as well, because the folks that have been waiting for Dragon Quest XII have been suffering more so than Kingdom Hearts fans, though they do have a bunch of other games releasing in the meantime, so that absolutely makes the wait for that game so much more easier than how we've got it with Kingdom Hearts. But still, considering that 12 was revealed back in 2021, yeah, it's time Square Enix finally came forward to say something about it. If we're talking about places where I think Kingdom Hearts news will be delivered, I think there's a very real possibility that news might just get shadow dropped. But also too, I think that people should pay attention to state of plays. Also, May the 4th, so we know that that is Star Wars Day. What better way to reveal that Star Wars is in Kingdom Hearts 4 than having a new trailer drop for the game on May the 4th? But also, people should absolutely be paying attention to D23. This is happening in August of next year, and this is the big D23 event that happens every 2 years. Kingdom Hearts 3 dropped a ton of information at various D23s throughout its marketing cycle over the years, so I believe it'll end up being the same with Kingdom Hearts 4. In my opinion, I think that if there is anywhere throughout next year where we can almost guarantee that Kingdom Hearts news will pop up, it should be D23 2026. But the other thing that I want to hear about in 2026 is Yoko Taro. I want to know what this man has been working on for the past few years. We know he's been slowly and quietly chipping away at a new project, which we can only assume has something to do with Nier, which would again be another major Square Enix release in the pipeline for maybe 2028. Again, over the past kind of couple of years, Yoko Taro has alluded to the fact that hopefully it shouldn't be too long before people start hearing about what he's been working on. So I think that 2026 would provide a pretty good opportunity to finally break that silence, considering it's been such a long time since a major Yoko Taro project has released. Personally, I think the big 3 projects that will release from Square Enix coming out of their reboot phase will be FF7, Kingdom Hearts 4, and Yoko Taro's project. So I do think that we are going to get some juice next year in the form of news, but I don't think people should go into 2026 expecting big Square Enix releases. As I mentioned in my previous video, next year is going to be indicative as to what is going to happen between Kingdom Hearts 4 and Final Fantasy VII, and personally I'm looking forward to it. As far as Kingdom Hearts is concerned though, I think that next year is going to be incredibly telling as to what's going on with Kingdom Hearts 4, and I have strong beliefs that it's going to be the blowout that we've been waiting for such a long time now. Because looking at it, if you go 1 to 2 years past the reveal with nothing else in the meantime, no additional trailer, no information, okay, fine. Let them cook. They need time to base this turkey. But you start creeping into the 3rd year, the concerns certainly start to form, and impatience starts to grow. But reaching into the 4th year, you then start to question what the studio itself is actually doing. This also mixed in with everything else that's been going on with Square Enix, looking at the negative side of things, really starts to agitate these communities and the consumers. So the question is, how long does Square Enix want to keep this running mill of silence in regards to Kingdom Hearts 4 and not really saying or showing anything more of the game, before eventually there is a complete breaking point? I'd like to think that Square Enix are viewing 2026 as the absolute upper limit there of silence towards this game, and that they really are planning a complete re-reveal of KH4 running on Unreal Engine 5, explaining features, displaying worlds within 2026. One thing though that I really want from Tetsuya Nomura next year is an explanation on Missing Link. It's so bizarre that after so many years of development, this game just randomly gets cancelled and there is no real follow-up from Nomura himself. This will happen eventually, and I hope it does happen next year. I hope that he can kind of indicate what's going to happen with the ideas and the story of Missing Link, but hopefully give us a further explanation than just, yeah, the team couldn't really figure out how to sustain this game with foreseeable and consistent future updates to keep the game interesting. Because from where I'm sitting, I kind of see that explanation as half-assed. Square Enix have beyond a decade of experience of running live service mobile games. And still to this day, there is a mobile GPS game that is still in operation. Dragon Quest Walk. I think that the honest answer here is that the higher-ups just didn't see this to be profitable and ultimately pulled the plug. But I'd love to get Tetsuya Nomura's input on the entire situation. Just like Kingdom Hearts 4, Nomura brought on brand new writers for Missing Link. This is very much a game that he was serious about. And while we're at it, please touch upon why Union Cross was randomly removed from app stores. It's not like anyone's in a hurry to play this game again or anything like that, but it's just so bizarre without any official follow-up. However, what do you guys want to see from Square Enix in 2026? I would love to know. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Be sure to slippity slap that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Big shout out to my wonderful patrons and YouTube members. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and we'll talk again real soon.